Alrighty, man. Welcome back to the channel. Where do we even start with this one? Last video, I think that's my most viewed YouTube video ever. I felt like most people in Australia had that on their TV screens when it came out. Like, it was pretty crazy seeing all the stories, all the messages, and just the absolute overwhelming amount of support. Not that I did it for views or anything. It just felt good to get what I was going through off my chest. And obviously it had to be cut, edited, things taken out. I'm just glad we got to get something out and something was able to be said, because I felt very alone and secluded with that. So it felt like I had all of you guys supporting me after that. And yeah, maybe one day director's cut gets to be released and you guys can see all of it. But for now, that is definitely not on the cards. Even though I just want everyone to see it, it's not possible. Anyway, I think the dust has settled now and I'm moving on with my high value content. I feel a lot better for it. Obviously, you guys are seeing the school content, the cycling content, the general gym content, and I'm just really excited. And I feel like before it felt so difficult for me to make videos. Like, I felt like I couldn't even make content. Whereas now I feel like a lot happier, just like there's not as many obstacles in the way for my creative flow to create these videos. Whereas before it felt like there was literally like all these blockades every single time I tried to make a video. I don't know, couldn't put my finger on what it was, but obviously I think we found it and I feel like I'm fairly relieved from that now. So I wanted to make a video on this word toxicity, toxic people. I think toxic variables can come in a variety of different forms, because I think the resounding message of support I got from a lot of people was my video made them feel like they're not alone. It may have reminded them of like a high school bullying situation, or even a lot of people that also have OCD as well. They thought damn, I'm not alone with that. The way I interact in my friendships and stuff, that's actually quite similar to Gab. So there are a lot of things there that made it feel like I unified a lot of people to make us feel like we're not alone. And particularly that one of toxic people. I had countless messages of people saying it reminds me of a situation I went through a few years ago where, I had to leave this whole group or a bunch of people or whatever. So I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on this topic of toxic people or toxic variables. So for anyone else that's in a situation like that, you're a little bit more aware and you kind of know what to do in that situation, and you're able to perhaps identify if that's happening in your own life so you can really unlock your full potential. I've been getting a lot of questions from fans, my Snapchat. I think that's the most interactive thing. You guys are sending hundreds of messages a day. You can reply to all my stories, and one of the messages I get the most is, how did you sleep, Gab? And if you don't know where that question comes from, it's because we had the 9 to 5 Fitness podcast, which still exists, but we haven't posted any episodes on there. And yeah, the first question we would ask each other on the podcast was, how did you sleep? And obviously an episode hasn't been released in I think 3 weeks now. So you guys have been asking me, Gab, how did you sleep? Quite frankly, I've been sleeping like an absolute baby. There's something in the air at the moment. Maybe you're feeling happier or training harder. By day's end, I'm absolutely exhausted. Head hits the pillow. I watch a chess video sideways. I have my laptop like that. I don't know if anyone else does that or it's just me. I'm just watching Gotham chess. I fall asleep like an absolute light. I'm out like a light, as they'd say. And wake up pretty much 7 a.m. every single morning, have a cold shower. So overall, I'm sleeping like an absolute baby. I think there's just when you're in an environment where there's not as many toxic variables in there and you're feeling overall happier, I think, you're probably less stressed out when your head hits the pillow. And so I've been sleeping better than ever to answer your guys' questions there. I want to know how you slept. How did you sleep? Let me know in the comments down below. So let's talk about this word toxic. What does it actually mean? Well, I interpret it to be something that's poisonous or harmful. And if you're trying to grow, you're on this upward trajectory, it's actually doing the opposite. They're these little parasites that are trying to bring you down. And I think that could come in many forms. It could come in the form of people, which is probably the one that's most relatable to us. It could also come in lifestyle factors too. So things like excessive alcohol consumption, smoking or vaping, that's going to be pretty terrible for you. Even the food you consume, if it's going to be overly processed, then that's going to be pretty terrible for you. Another one males face is porn addiction. That can be literally crippling. But in the form of people, I suppose that could be friends, friendship groups, partners, so a girlfriend or boyfriend. And the tough one is even family can be toxic. Obviously, you can't control your family, but you can control your friends and the people you kind of spend your time around. And it goes back to this quote I heard recently, and I think it puts it really well. By a bloke called Justin Waller. At least have friends that make you feel like you're growing. If you aren't growing, you're dying. For me, if I don't feel like I'm on a growth trajectory, or I feel like I'm going backwards, or I'm just stagnant, I will literally have like a panic attack. For me, that is the most like unsatisfying thing ever. And I will do everything in my control to make sure I reverse that situation. Let's talk about the friend situation. I think that's the one that most people resonate with and you can actually make a change with. I've had friendship groups in the past, or like individuals in the friendship group, that whenever you try to bring up something productive or an idea or potentially something that happened in your life that you're really proud of, they've always got like a smart ass response to try to impress all the other people in the friendship group. And I think a bit of banter is fine. There's a time and place for that. If it's the odd joke here and there, you might, have some clap back. You might have something else to say. But if it's just like chronic jokes and bringing you down, it's going to affect your perception of your self-worth and overall create like more inertia with what you're trying to do. So what I mean by that is, if you have these high ambitions and you're trying to, create content, it's already difficult enough. But if you got people making jokes, the ones that are meant to be closest to you, you're going to have more inertia about you. You don't feel as free. You're going to feel like you're sitting there and you have all these negative thoughts, and it's extremely difficult. Whereas if you have people around you that are supporting you, want the best for you, have valuable things to say, and aren't bringing you down, you're going to feel a lot more free, and you're going to feel like you're going to be able to achieve those things a lot more easily. You're probably wondering, Gab, I've got one of these toxic situations in my life. What the hell do I do about it? Well, I suppose you need to do step number 1, and that is consider whether it's actually repairable. You might love this person. You might fear the thought of them not being in your life anymore. So you need to ask, like, are they inherently deep down like a toxic person that is going to be poisonous for your life? If the answer is yes, then unfortunately, I don't think there's any point of return there. But if there's just like some things, the odd thing here and there, like they're not overall a terrible person, you need to say, is it repairable? Can I have a productive discourse, a conversation, an upfront conversation with them about this, and try to repair it with them? The hardest thing is going to be initiating that conversation. But if it's one of your close mates, sit down with them and try to have that conversation. Say, hey, like, I'm all for a bit of banter, but like, I feel like you're just absolutely digging into me a little bit too much. I've had conversations with my friends like that, and it has definitely repaired it. Obviously, the one recently, it was just beyond that. I had tried it so many times and there was just like no improvement whatsoever. So I think that is when you need to get to step 2, and that is where you make the decision to either spend less time around them, slowly start ghosting, or worst case scenario, you just remove them completely from your life. I think obviously for my situation, I tried that thing where I just like distanced myself a little bit. But when that wasn't an option anymore, it just had to be like cold turkey, cut out. And it's a sad thing, but I think once you get used to it and you realize that like friends come and go, other things in your life come and go, it can be easier as long as you have yourself and you know the person that you are, and you know that you're on this trajectory and you need to grow and you got things you want to achieve. Everything else is secondary. If it's toxic lifestyle factors, I think you just got to ask yourself, like, what are they doing in your life? A lot of the time it's an accessibility thing. So for vaping, for instance, you'd see like less people smoking cigarettes and whatnot because, it's kind of disgusting to be smoking cigarettes inside. Whereas a nice little vape pen, you can just do it in your room when you're playing video games, when you're studying. I know a lot of people, when they're like literally working, like driving cars or driving a truck, they got, one hand on the wheel, one hand vaping because it's so accessible and you can just do it throughout the day. If it's junk food, I think a lot of towns, they have like a bunch of different fast food outlets and not many like healthy options. So it's like that fast processed food is the most accessible option around there. So what I'm kind of leading to with these factors, if it's out of mind, it's out of sight. If it's less accessible, you're going to be less likely to do it. So for me, if I had like a vape pen or something around, I would be a whole lot more tempted to do it, and my self-control would be like a lot lower. Whereas if I don't have it anywhere around me, I'm so much less likely to do it. In fact, the thought isn't even there. So if it's lifestyle factors for you, I would say get it out of sight, out of mind. A lot of people are going to be addicted to things like vapes. So the best option I can say to you is make sure there's like barriers there to stop you from doing it. The first thing I'd say with something like a vape is just to make sure it's not there. So the barrier is, if I really want to do it, I have to go and drive to the store, spend more money, to go and get one. And for me, I know I'm never going to be down bad enough to actually do that. For you, I'd hope you have enough self-control to the fact you're not driving 15 minutes down the road to go and get one. For something like healthy food options, I would say, have some meal prep in the fridge. So whenever you're hungry, you're not going to go for a Happy Meal from McDonald's. I don't even know if people eat those anymore, but you're more likely to go for your delicious succulent chicken and salad and rice that's in the fridge there. You're going to go heat that up. Yeah, those toxic lifestyle factors, they are inherently toxic. They are inherently evil. There is no repairing them. You can't go and speak to a bottle of vodka and say, hey, can you all of a sudden become like good for me? I don't think you're going to be able to convince them. So the only option there is to remove them from your life, or at least significantly limit them so they're just in moderation. Once you've eliminated these things for your life, you're truly going to be unlocked. So hopefully you've started replacing them with healthy alternatives. So let's go through what the healthy alternative for a toxic item may be. So you've got a toxic friend that makes fun of you whenever you bring up like something you're pretty proud of. Well, you replace them with a friend that is actually supportive, actually wants the best for you, and, might provide some advice, some constructive criticism, isn't just a yes man, and is overall just like a good vibe to be around and is going to bring you up instead of bringing you down. Alcohol, if that is destroying your life, you're drinking 2-3 times a week and getting absolutely plastered, you might replace that with, the gym. Instead of on a Friday night, Saturday night, and a Sunday night getting absolutely destroyed, you might swap 2 of those nights out for, a wholesome night in, or going to the gym instead. I know it sounds bloody lame, but seriously, if you're drinking like a heavy amount multiple times a week, it's not going to be conducive to any sort of life goal. You might say, once a fortnight, I'm going to go out with my good friends and we might have a few drinks, might hit the town, might have a little bit of fun. And I think when you do it like that, it's actually like a reward and you'll have a whole lot more fun, because it's not just escapism at that point. It's like, I've actually worked for this. It's a reward. I deserve it. And it's not just like chronic drinking 3 times a week. Next one, vaping. Well, the alternative is you breathe air instead. I don't think there's any sort of other alternative. You just like get it away. Yeah. Alternative for processed food, obviously some succulent anabolic meals like the stuff that's in my meal plan. That would be a fantastic alternative. And porn addiction, what would be an alternative for that? How about like the scariest thing in the world, actually conversing with women in a non-creepy way, in some sort of, productive conversation. And if you've read the room, if the vibes are on, she likes you, you like her, you might be able to engage in some testosterone boosting activities, which is going to be a much healthier alternative than watching pixels on a screen and beating your meat. So another thing that I found was toxic for me was like brand deals and being showered with all these different promotional opportunities. And I came to learn, I think they actually like took away from my message so much. Like they convoluted my message. They convoluted what I was trying to do, which was empower, motivate young men, particularly in Australia, and inspire us to do better and provide advice. And I think when there's too many different brand deals, it's like a trade-off. It's like, yes, you want the money to be able to live a good life, put food on the table, to travel, to do things. But if that comes at a cost of absolutely convoluting your content and what you do, I think like that's overall going to be toxic to what I'm trying to do. So I've realized that, and I think I'm at a point in my life now where I want more quality brand partnerships and less quantity, and more something where I'm more involved and have a deeper partnership. And as you guys know, I've had a few supplement sponsorships in the past, and mad credit to them. They've all been great. I've learned so much from them. We've had really good partnership, but now it's kind of like a boyhood dream. I remember watching people like Zach Perner when I was, still learning everything about fitness and nutrition, and I swear that guy made me learn how to cook and all my meal prep stuff. And his main supplement sponsor was EHP Labs. And now we've just signed a long-term deal with him. I'm a salaried athlete, and I'm just honestly so grateful for this opportunity. It feels huge, and it feels like this is the opportunity that's going to be, it's going to allow me to thrive as a content creator. It's going to allow me to flourish. And I think this is the one for the long term. It already feels like I'm part of a family there. It feels very different to things I've had in the past, where it's easy to feel like a number and you just get told your brief and this is your code, make as many sales as possible. But this, I feel a little bit more deeply integrated into the brand, and I feel like there's going to be a whole lot more opportunity This, when we're talking about trajectory and, you know, toxic things bringing you down, this feels like the opposite. This feels like a catalyst towards my growth. And I'm just really excited to get on board. You guys already know what code to use. Code NTF on all your damn orders. Make sure you send them to me. I have one fruit smoothie a day. Good micronutrients. 2 scoops of creatine, because why not? And a scoop of the isopep, so it's just a whey protein isolate. Super high quality, easy on the stomach, and just tastes great. You know, I really wanted to steer away from those mass-produced cheap supplements that are going to be, you know, you're going to have a difficult time on the toilet. Your skin might break out as well. I want to only be fueling myself with the best. I was chatting to Boss Man from EHP. He says all their supplements are manufactured in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I was like, damn, I thought everyone just creates their supplements in China because it's cheap. So that meant a lot to me. And, you know, when I was working with other brands, I would still be using the EHP creatine because it is pharmaceutical grade. It dissolves super well. It's going to be the best thing for your body. So I want you guys to be fueling yourself with the best as well. And I think that's EHP Labs. And I think overall as a brand, there's just going to be a whole lot of opportunity, and I'm really excited to get behind it. But overall, if you guys see variables and people in your life that are bringing you down and they're toxic, do something about it. Eliminate them. I want everyone who watches my videos to be smashing their life goals and just dropping all that dead weight and doing the best for yourself that you can. If you guys made it this far into the video, make sure you smash the like button. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you want any other topics or things that you need help with or any other ideas, make sure you comment them down below. Or if you want to keep it anonymous, you can of course DM me. I try to read all my messages. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Mwah.